Hello and welcome to the Playbook 11 podcast, head of the second test between Australia and India in Adelaide. I'm your host, Tim Williams, and my first guest for today's show, Cricket Australia commentator, former Sydney Sixers media manager, Max Bryden. Maxie, it's been a week since that last test loss, maybe a little bit over. Have you recovered yet, mate?
Oh, g'day, Timo. G'day to all the viewers out there. Mate, wouldn't say I've recovered. I think I've forgotten most of those events. That's a bit of a trauma reaction. Don't really know what to do when you lose that first test in Australia or your home series, particularly in West Australia. I think the reason we don't know what to do is because it hasn't really happened before. So it's been a weird week, but, man, I'm so looking forward to this day-night test. It's one of the greatest times in the calendar all year.
It is, mate. Look, we're a bit rattled at the moment, the Aussies, but look, we'll bounce back from this one. We'll level it up at 1-1 and all will be well again for the Border Gavaskar series. Mate, for myself, who am I? I'm a self-proclaimed fantasy cricket expert in Australia. I've been playing fantasy sport for over 15 years and working professionally in fantasy sport for over a decade. What is the Playbook 11 podcast here to do? We're here to provide expert Dream 11 advice from Australian soil with our local knowledge. We know the players, the venues, the local conditions. We're going to transfer that knowledge into Dream 11 contests to help select your teams for each contest. We'll be covering all 5, of course, of the Australia v India test, the remaining 4, along with the upcoming Big Bash season. We're available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Social channels, give us a follow at Playbook11 on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of those good stuff. Now, Maxie, let's get straight down to business for today's show because the first ball of the second test, it'll be bowled in a bit over 24 hours. Mate, let's get into the predicted teams, and we will start with the host, the Australian team. We know that Josh Hazlewood is injured. He'll be unavailable for this test. What changes? Who are we expecting in for Hazlewood, and do we expect any other changes in the side as well with Mitchell Marsh under a little bit of an injury cloud as well?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Look, I think it's going to be Scott Boland straight in for Josh Hazlewood as the only change for the Aussies. Obviously, been a lot mooted throughout the week, particularly around the form of Marnus, and the injury to Mitch Marsh. But the comments from Nathan Lyon yesterday saying that he's tipping Mitch Marsh to not only feature but bowl, I think have really put to bed the potential of another Aussie debutant. We know Josh Inglis and Bo Webster are with the squad at the moment, but I think it will only be the one switch for the Aussies, Boland in for Hazlewood.
Yeah, love that. And the Indians, look, you would think potentially not too many changes coming off an upset victory in the first test, but there will be. We know that Gill's coming back and we know that Sharma's coming back in. You'd imagine there'll be spots for those two, Sharma in particular. Mate, who are the unlucky ones out for the Indians in your eyes?
Yeah, look, it is weird when you see a team win by 300 runs and have potentially 3 changes in this match, but I do think Shubham Gill and Rohit Sharma will come in. And I think it'll be the 2 new faces that they had in that game, Devdutt Padikkal and Dhruv Jurul. They will be out of the team. The interesting thing, I guess, with the Indian top order is going to be exactly who bats where. We know that Rohit Sharma has been opening, but that opening partnership of Jaiswal and KR Rahul was so good, they might opt to bat Rohit Sharma a little bit down the order. Gill, you'd expect to be at number 3. The other rumour that we're hearing at the moment is whether Washington Sundar will be replaced by Ravi Jadeja. But we're going to have to wait until the toss, and I'll share some interesting stats later, or soon, really soon actually, why the Indian spinner might not be that important in this game.
Yes, we will. And Washington, among with a bunch of others in that Australia A versus India A Prime Minister's 11 clash down in Canberra, was quite successful there as well, along with just about every player in that game, minus Rohit Sharma. He got a duck or one or something, but just about every other player got in and among the wickets and the runs. Of course, Sammy Constance for Australia, tunning up off about 97 balls. The prodigy for Australia. Will we see him later in the series? Perhaps, but we'll wait and see. I hope not, because if we do, it means we're probably down 2-0 or 3-0 or something, and we don't need that. Maxie, let's go around the grounds to Adelaide Oval. It is the day-night test, the pink ball starting at 3 p.m. Might not be 3 p.m. local time. Might be 2:30 local time. It's 3 p.m. Sydney time where we're recording from, that's for sure. Mate, what are we expecting from Adelaide Oval? And from a Dream 11 perspective, are we preferencing bowlers, batters? How do you see it?
Mate, it's a great game, the Adelaide Oval test. I know that you and I sat there 2 summers ago when Australia took on England on day 2 and had a beer at the day-night test. It was amazing. Look, this is the 8th time we're going to see the pink ball test at Adelaide Oval. Australia's actually never lost a pink ball test at Adelaide Oval either. And in fact, of all Australia's pink ball games that they've ever played, the only loss they had was in their last start against the West Indies at the Gabba, where Shamar Joseph did his thing and really announced himself to the world. But look, this is a ground and a game that favours bat and ball pretty equally, which is quite surprising when you think that the bowlers have got pretty good records. But what you might not realise is that in 6 of the 7 pink ball tests that Australia have played and batted first, they've scored over 400 runs. So there are runs on offer for the team usually batting first. You may want to consider some changes to your Dream 11 team based on whoever wins the toss and expecting that whoever's going to win the toss is going to bat first.
Yeah, love that. Good stuff, mate. And before we do sit down and select our Dream 11 team together collaboratively for the contest, mate, some stats that matter that you found leading into this, the Dream 11 players they need to know. What have you got for us? Share us the good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Look, I've been taking a deep dive into the game and also some of the players around this and just thought I'd share a few insights which I really caught my attention and drew me in a few different directions for this. And the first one is that the new ball in the pink ball test is an absolute monster at Adelaide Oval. And in fact, in the first 20 overs of games, the average runs per wicket is 24.5 in pink ball tests in Australia compared to 33 across all Australian venues, which just means that we want opening bowlers. Be they Indian or Australia, I think the opening bowlers are going to have the most success in this game. The second stat I've got for you is that visiting spinners average 64 in pink ball tests. Now, it's not an anomaly for spinners to come out into Australia and struggle. And in fact, the average for spinners is 62, but in pink ball tests, that goes up to 64. Now, in converse, Lyon averages 25 with the ball in pink ball tests, which is fantastic. But I guess the learning here for me is that be it Jadeja, Ashwin, or that man Washington Sundar, we don't really want an Indian spinner in our Dream 11 side.
Yeah.
The third set I've got for you, now this is one that won't shock people given his performance in Perth, but Jasprit Bumrah, his pink ball test bowling average is just 14.5, which includes an incredible 5 for 24 against Sri Lanka he took 2 years ago in 2022. And his strike rate, his bowling strike rate across all his pink ball games is just 31 in pink ball tests. So somehow this guy who already seems basically superhuman, especially to Aussies out here, he might get even better when he's got the pink cake in his hand this week.
Mate,
the fourth one I've got for you now, that man, it's a good number, mate, isn't it? The fourth one I've got for you now, Marnus Labuschagne, he's had the blowtorch on him. Even we put it on him last week in our Cricketers Playbook podcast as well. But when it comes to pink ball tests all around the world, no batter has scored more runs than Marnus Labuschagne. In fact, he averages 63 in all pink ball tests. And that average actually jumps up to 71 when you're talking about games at Adelaide Oval, both pink and red ball, with 3 tons in that time as well. So if there was ever an omen for tipping a bounce back for a man who's got a lot of pressure on him at the moment, it could be that. So just something to think about with Marnus. And the final stat I've got for you now, Aussies know that one man in the Indian lineup in particular loves Adelaide Oval, and that man is the former skipper Virat Kohli. His average of 63 at Adelaide Oval basically makes him an honorary Aussie, and he scored 3 tons in his 8 innings. So given the fact that he found that little bit of form in Western Australia last game, very, very interesting potential pick for our Dream 11 team, and that's the stats that matter for the second test in Adelaide Oval.
As a diehard Australian cricket fan, the Kohli stat terrifies me. But the Marnus Labuschagne, the fact that you're guaranteeing us about 130 runs from him in this game across the 2 innings, at a minimum, I think that excites me. So hopefully Marnus can bounce back. Currently in our contest at 17% ownership, so maybe a sneaky little one there, but we're going to need to see something. Mate, let's get stuck into our team for the Dream 11 contest. And we, of course, start at the wicket-keeper slot. Rishabh Pant, he's at 9 crore, currently at 77% ownership in our contest. You've got Rahul at 66%. He's at 7.5 crore. You go down Alex Carey at 52%. In his home test in Adelaide, 7 crore, very cheap, much better ownership. Mate, of the big 3 wicket-keeping options, who are we keen on here?
Yeah, man, it's a really good question. I know we sat here last week and wrote off KL Rahul as almost like a default sort of addition to the keeper, but he did really well. But I think for me, I'm going to rule him out just based off those stats we heard about how well the new ball performs. We are hearing that he is likely to maintain that opening position for India and force Rohit Sharma down the order. And I think for that reason, I'll probably steer towards the other two, and both of them I like. I like them for the fact that Rishabh Pant's a superstar. We know that. I like it for the fact that Alex Carey is playing in his home test. But what I like both about them is that I'm expecting a lot of catches behind the wicket in this match, just given the movement, the seam, the swing that we expect the pink ball to have. I think that both players are going to be in the game, and I think they're going to be taking some catches, getting those extra 8 points per catch. So I like Rishabh Pant and Alex Carey. What about yourself?
All right. I definitely like Alex Carey. As I said, in Adelaide at home, he's been in the runs certainly at Shield level this season, and of course in the last test he was in among a few runs as well without really going on with anything. I'm with you. I think there's going to be wickets tumble early, and I think as that ball gets a little bit older, the deck flattens out with a bit of luck. I think that we'll see someone like Carey and of course Pant going to get some real opportunities, and they could be the scorers in this game. I prefer Carey of the two. Do we want to select them both for now? We can always come back. We can tinker with our team. All right, we'll lock in Pant and we'll lock in Alex Carey for now. But I'd really like Alex Carey in this one, mate. If we go to our batting orders, you know, the way that we pick our dream 11 sides, we like to go heavy on the bowlers, particularly, as you said, in a pink ball day-night test. It suits the bowlers, the openers in particular. But we will go through the batters. Steve Smith at 9 crore. He's 27% ownership in the contest. Virat Kohli, he's at 78% ownership at 8.5 crore. Travis Head, 85% ownership, 8.5 crore. Jaiswal, 86% ownership at 8 crore. Rohit Sharma is currently at 11% ownership in this contest at 8 crore with his credentials coming in. Marnus Labuschagne, he's at 18% ownership at 8 crore. Shubman Gill, 5.6% ownership at 7.5 crore. Usman Khawaja, again, probably doesn't tie into this the stat around the opening bowlers and the opening batters, but 9% ownership at 7.5 crore. Padikkal down there at 2% ownership at 6 crore. Mate, the batsman, who tickles your fancy there? Who do you like?
Yeah, it's really hard to pick, isn't it? And I think personally, so much of it is going to come down to who gets the opportunity to bat first out on that fresh Adelaide Oval strip. If I had to pick any of the top three from either side, I think naturally I sway heavily towards Jaiswal. What he showed in the first test was just so phenomenal that I think I feel like I was missing out if I didn't own him in my team. I don't mind Mars just from the fact that he's got the potential. Yeah, no, we did. That was a good pick. And I think we doubled down on that for sure. I don't really like either of Khawaja or McSweeney in this one. Marnus is an intriguing one, and I think I'll probably put a question mark next to him. Statistically, he's a solid choice, although you've got to think about whether or not he's actually got the mettle to bounce out of this slump that he's in at the moment. I think Virat Kohli is another one I definitely want in the side, and I could easily take the hometown boy Travis Head as well. I think that the so much of it is going to come down to the winning of the toss, and I want to load up more on batsmen from the side who get the opportunity to bat first.
We went against Virat Kohli last test, and it came back to bite us. After the first innings, we looked good. And then you, of course, got that century in the second innings. I agree with those stats around Adelaide. The fact that he's bounced back to form, I think we put in a Virat Kohli, Jaiswal at 85%. I'm with you, Travis Head 85%. Now, mate, what we do know is that you can't win these or succeed and do well in these Dream 11 contests if you follow the crowd and you go all the big selected players. I have not seen anything from Marnus Labuschagne to suggest that I want him in my team. I also don't want too many batsmen in my team. So I feel like we maybe select 3 batsmen here. So, I mean, do we look at going someone like Rohit Sharma around the stats that you said before? He may even bat a little bit further down the order than regularly and not open the batting if they do go with Rahul again. What do you think? Currently, what I say, about 11% ownership. Do we throw him in?
Yeah, I think we do. I like the gamesmanship of it. He's a bold pick. He's a different pick. Best case scenario, he is batting in that top 4. But even better, I think, could be if they do decide to stick with KL Rahul up top, then that by the time Rohit comes out to bat, could be as low as 6. Ball, all movement may have gone out of it, and he'll just be bopping it around and could score a lot of runs down the order. So no, I like that, mate. Good thinking.
And we know how aggressive he is. It's not like even if he did come in at say 6 or whatever, and we were to go through them, and he didn't get a lot of opportunity, he scores quick. So it's not going to matter, mate. We need to drop one. I reckon we need to drop one of these batsmen, whether it's Kohli, Head, or Jaiswal. Which way are you leaning? It's extremely tough. They're all informed batsmen coming off the back of the Perth Test, but I just think 4 batsmen in these conditions, I think it's too many.
Yeah, the only thing I will hang my hat on is Travis Head's average at the Adelaide Oval is 70 as well. His pink ball average is 49, but he was the man of the match there last summer against the West Indies. So I think he's a player that I would prefer to have over those. If we could wait on selecting our team until the toss, I'd either drop him or Kohli, depending on who's batting first. But at the moment, I would probably favour Jaiswal and Head above Kohli.
Let's drop Kohli for now, and that'll put us at 5 players with 6 selections to go. We can always come back and get King Kohli back in, but I said I want to favour bowlers. I know you do as well, Maxie. All-rounders. We have Ashwin, who doesn't look like he'll probably play. He's currently in 10% or 9% of teams, so people might need to get ready to change unless they know something that we don't. Mitchell Marsh, 85% ownership at 8 crore. I think that's massive ownership. He obviously took a few wickets last test, but on the fact that he's no guarantee to bowl, if he does, it might be limited. Nitesh Reddy at 80%. He's at 7.5 crore. Jadeja, he's at 6% ownership at 7 crore. If he does come into the team, you did mention those stats around the spinners, but I just love what he can offer with both bat and ball. Washington Sundar, he's at 26% ownership at 7 crore. And Bo Webster, probably not going to feature in this one. And then Nathan McSweeney at the top of the order at 6% ownership at 6 crore. Of those all-rounders, who do you like?
I think if I'm honest, they've all got question marks around them, don't they? I mean, we've got Marsh's injury. We've just got the selection in itself of an all-rounder from India, whoever's going to take that number 7 spot. If he were to get selected, I wouldn't mind a guy like Ravi Ashwin. He actually is the second leading wicket taker for all Indians ever at Adelaide Oval, behind the great Kapil Dev, with a bowling average of just 30, which really bucks the trends for how overseas spinners have gone in Aussie conditions. And we do know as well that he's no mug with the bat. So if he were to get selected, I think that he could be a good choice. But I'd be tempted to almost let them all go, the all-rounders, and just look straight at the bowlers.
Agreed. I want quick bowlers, and I think that's where we're fancying, particularly statistically speaking. And I'd like Mitch Marsh, but with the question marks there, I just think he just becomes a risk going into this contest. So I'm happy to go away from Mitchell Marsh. All right, we've got 5 spots to fill. They're going to be bowlers, I reckon. Jasprit Bumrah at 9 crore. He's currently 97% ownership. We know why. We do know why. Pat Cummins, he's at 9 crore at 53% ownership. I love that. Mitchell Stark, he's at 79% ownership at 8.5 crore. Nathan Lyon, 8 crore at 8% ownership. Josh Hazlewood not going to feature in this one. Currently in 45% of teams. So people are going to need to get on top of that one because that's not overly fresh news. Siraj, he's at 32% ownership at 7.5 crore. Scott Boland coming in at 3% ownership at 7 crore. You are kidding me. So we go down to Rana, 37% ownership at 6.5 crore. Krishna, 0.24% ownership if he features at 6 crore. But, mate, of those bowlers, who do you like?
First one we got to lock in without a shadow of a doubt has to be Jasprit Bumrah. That bowling strike rate of 31 in pink ball tests, look, it could be under 30 by the time this game's finished based on how the Aussies batted in the last match. Mitchell Stark, we just have to lock in. He's got a bowling strike rate himself of 37 in pink ball tests, which is 11 better than his average of 48. So he just loves the pink ball. Nathan Lyon, I think, is a sneaky one, and his ownership, I don't mind it. I know he wasn't as effective in Perth as he would have liked, but he's actually Australia's leading wicket taker all time on Adelaide Oval, and it shouldn't shock anyone to know that he's done that after he was literally a groundsman at Adelaide Oval before becoming a professional cricketer. So I'd love to lock in those 3. The other two that have really caught my attention would just be Mohamed Siraj, just from the fact that we know how well opening bowlers can go. And if he does get the opportunity to bowl under lights, I think that he's shown enough in Perth that he could do really well. And Scott Boland as well, that ownership, 3% you mentioned, with his strike rate that we've seen in home tests. Look, he is underdone. I think he's only played 2 first-class matches prior to this test, but geez, that ownership, Timmy, that's got me up and about.
I love the Scott Boland play. We've seen in minimal opportunities for the Australian Test team how effective he's been. That famous, what was it, 6 for 7 a couple of years ago against England. So we're locking in Bumrah, of course. And then I like the Siraj play as well. Around the opens at only 32% ownership, that stuns me. I'm surprised he's not higher than that. So we're happy to lock in Siraj, Scott Boland. So Boland in, Siraj in, Bumrah in. We want 2 more bowlers. Stark and Lyon are the ones you've gone with. Look, I'm happy enough with that. The ownership around Lyon is the big factor. If it was 30 to 40% ownership, I'd be happy to say no. But at 8% ownership, it's just minuscule. So, yeah, okay, I don't mind that play. We'll put him in. So we've got no all-rounders. I reckon we have to throw one in. Ashwin, Marsh, Nitesh Reddy. Who do we like the best of them, mate? Again, there's uncertainty around who the Indian all-rounder is going to be, which makes it a little bit tricky 24 hours out without having those final teams. But we can only do our best here, mate. Who do you like?
If we could pick a Pat Cummins up in that slot, I'd be happy. Otherwise, wouldn't mind. I'd be happy to slide in Nitish Reddy. Now, this is a guy who might not even be the team next game if Mohammad Shami is fit and available for selection. But he did well with the bat. Scored a few runs in that first innings in the last test, and he looked a likely bowler. And we do think that particularly the second, third, and fourth innings in this game, it's going to be difficult for the batsmen out there. So he could score some runs with the bat. He could take some wickets. So I'd probably lean that way compared to the other contenders.
All right, so we have to select one all-rounder. So unfortunately, we can't squeeze Cummins in. We'll put in a test ready, and that gives us 6 Indians and 5 Australians. How do we feel about this, mate?
Look, if you'd told me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said that we're our heads aren't screwed on right. But I think we really got taught a lesson in West Australia just how good this team is, but also potentially just how much pressure the Australians could be under with this ageing squad. So I think it's good. I think it's a good mix. So I'm feeling good, mate.
All right, mate. Our captaincy and vice-captaincy picks, of course, captaincy 2 times multiplier and vice-captain 1.5 multiplier. Who do we feel like here?
I don't want to overthink it. I think that not only the best player in this game, but the guy who's definitely going to take the most wickets for his team in this match is going to be Jasprit Bumrah. So I think loading up the captaincy on him, I'm sure he's a popular choice already, but I think he's a really smart choice as skipper. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, definitely. And look, he's at 27% captaincy rate and 20% vice captaincy rate. So when you look at numbers like that, you look at the 98% and you go, all right, potentially we could go elsewhere and look for a difference, but I'm with you. I just think we have to lock and load on that 98% for Jasprit Bumrah. He's 96.73 ownership, but yeah, the 26%, 25% for the captaincy. Let's go captain Bumrah. What that may give us the opportunity to do, mate, if we really want to get a little bit different, we've got a few differential players in our team, Lyon, Boland, a couple of others in there. I think for the 1.5, for the vice captain, let's go a little bit rogue. Let's go someone a little bit lower ownership. Who do you feel? Or tell me, mate, do you want to go the obvious options, the higher ownership? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I guess the real answer is I don't know. It's tricky to think how this game is going to play out, and it is for me going to come so much down to the toss, as I mentioned. So I'm not against following the stats into a guy like Mitchell Starc, who has just been so effective with the pink ball for Australia, and definitely their best proponent of it, or the smoky route, going on a Jaiswal and just sort of hoping that he gets some glimpses of the form that he showed just over a week ago in West Australia too. Yeah, what are you thinking?
We're not going Jai as well. He's a freak. He's a prodigy. We're not going an opening batsman in a pink ball day-night test in Adelaide with the Aussies with their backs against the wall. Stark Cummins. We're not doing it, mate. I'm overruling you there. We're going a bowler. Okay, we can go Stark. Currently at 6.6% vice captain rate, only 2.8% captain. So we can go Stark or the real smoky Scott Boland. He's 0.17 captain and 0.27 vice captain. My only concern would be I don't think Boland has played a ton of cricket of late, so fitness factors, all of that. I think maybe at that percentage, I think Mitchell Stark is our play. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's go. Let's lock it in.
Let's lock it in. All right, mate. That lines up our team for this contest. That'll wrap us up for this show. So, guys, good luck to everyone in the Dream 11 Australia versus India Test contest.